Hi, everyone, and welcome to this issue of Monday Mindset Mastery. Today's topic is the mindset to launch, and I'm really excited to have Elisa Bogaerts here. She is a launch expert, and we've known each other for, I guess almost 2 years now, it seems
Yeah, I
like.
think so. Yeah.
And yeah, we got to meet in person last January, and we'll get to meet in person again this January. So,
I know, so excited.
hello and hi,
Hi.
Lisa. What can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the launch business, and your history, where you came from?
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for having me, and yeah, this is so awesome meeting you in person. So it's like my favorite thing I see someone like, "Oh, yay, I get to
Hey.
hug somebody." Yeah, so I'm a launch strategist and project manager, and I help coaches to launch their online programs and events, and I help them do it with ease, 'cause it can be super stressful, because you have a launch, and it's kind of like all this work you put, like, on top of all your normal daily tasks of your business, so it can be really quite stressful, so I help to kind of alleviate some of that and get it structured and organized and also set up the tech for people as well because I know that that can be a big blocker and just really kind of keep either the coach I'm working with or their team or my team, whoever's involved, really sort of on track with all the different tasks and so that everybody knows what they need to be doing and everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing kind of when they're supposed to be doing it. I actually started my business as a life coach, so I was helping people build confidence. So talking about mindset is definitely something I was coaching before, and but before that, and actually, well, I guess the first couple of years of my business, I was a project manager in corporate. So I've been in the project management industry for about 15 years, and I was working in software development and really helping everybody launch software development tools and things like that for some really large companies. And there's some feedback, Lori. I'm just saying I can
Is
hear
there? Oh,
something. Yeah. I don't know where it's coming from. But
I gotta try. Let me try switching microphones. Maybe that'll.
okay. Yeah. So I was working in corporate and then and so with my own business of being a life coach, I was doing my own program launches. I was hosting my own summits. I was doing my own gift giveaways. And of course, being the project manager and so detail oriented as I am, I project managed it. I planned it meticulously. And so I had all these details to keep myself on track. So like I could, and that's just sort of what I do anyway. Like I like to just sort of sit down and be like, okay, what is this? Like, what am I doing? What's the flow? And I put all the tasks in place. And so my business coach was like, what are you doing with those project management skills? And I was like, I don't know, especially when I quit corporate. And he was like, I really think that they're needed in the coaching industry. A lot of people don't have those skills and don't have that expertise and it's so overwhelming and they kind of don't know where to start or as especially as coaches scale and kind of get into six figures multi six figures they don't want to be in the weeds of their business anymore. They don't want to be like on sort of on top of their team. So he's like, I think this is really needed in the industry. So I decided to switch into that and yeah, work with the people that I love the most, which is coaches, and yeah, help them get launched because I think that they, there's so much beautiful work that they do. I mean, the coaches are such amazing people and they're, doing make such amazing impact in the world. And so I really want to help them to get those programs out, right? To like launch that, get people into them and so they can, have the impact that they want to have and leave the legacy that they want to leave. And so I kind of yeah, help them do that.
No, I love that, and I
Hey, Mona.
completely agree.
Good to
Completely
see
agree on the idea of overwhelm because definitely I think a lot of coaches, even if they know how to do it, they're they're not thinking of all that other stuff because they're coaching
you. Right.
and you can't do everything. So many people get overwhelmed, and when they get overwhelmed, they end up doing nothing or just stopping or just getting stuck. So having
Yes.
that launch plan, and someone to help you do that makes it so much smarter. And then people tend to work, a lot of coaches are solopreneurs too. So it sounds like you actually bring a team so you can help them with that.
Yeah,
Um,
I have some assistants that can help in, especially with the tech side of it, because I know a lot of people really don't like, getting into their go high level or their CRM system and setting up landing pages and automations. They're just like, oh, could you just do that for me? So yeah, I have a team that I can bring in to do some of that.
Yeah, and I know I've had it happen to me, and I'm sure other people listening where you think you've got everything set up right, you think you're doing it, you set up, you launch an event or something, and you're kind of like, well, nobody's coming, or people sign up and then they don't show up, and then you realize that, emails didn't go out or timing was wrong, or those little mistakes that end up wrecking an entire event because people wanted to come but they couldn't because they didn't have the link or they were at the wrong place or something. They didn't get reminders. So
Yeah, yeah. This actually just happened to me last week where I was an attendee and I was like, "Hey, like I got the receipt of the ticket that I got, but I didn't get anything else." And so I reached out to them and they were sort of like, "Well, you should have this and that." And I was like, "Well, because I am a tech person, right? So I kind of know how it works. So I checked all the things because usually I do that first. I'm like, okay, is this a me issue? Because it
right.
sometimes can be a user error, right? Operator error. And so I'm like, is this a me issue? She's like, no, it's not. And then actually she even called me out and was like, we ended up being in a breakout room. And she was like, oh, I'm so grateful that you said something because all these people weren't getting the reminders. And she's like, and I put in all this work to put all the reminders, get them all set up, but some people weren't getting them and it affected their leaderboard and everything. So, yeah, there was this little glitch that they were able to find because I actually said something that I'm like, I don't think it's working. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking a little bit about the mindset. I know you were a life coach, and
Mhm.
well, I guess once a life coach, always a life coach, even if
Yeah.
you don't do it. So what would you say are some of the key things? And I know, I think one of the things that in your mindset is the fact that you need help or accepting help,
Mm.
because I think so. But well, what are some of the other maybe mindset shifts that people need to have or should have to have a successful launch?
One thing I like to really do when I'm putting a plan together and working with somebody is to so I put like a big plan together and then I break it into small pieces and I split it up week by week. So each week when I'm working with somebody, I'm like, okay, like, because if I do my whole plan, it's about like I want to say 260 tasks long. Like it's a lot. So if you were to look at that, you'd be just like, how am I possibly going to get any of that done? Like, where do I start? Blah, 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 right? It would just be kind of chaos in your mind. So when I work with people, I'm like, okay, no, I want you to focus on this week. We're going to do these 10 things. These are the 10 things that you're going to do, this person's going to do, this person's going to do, or maybe 15 things or whatever it is. And I want you to just focus on these, trust the process, because some people are like, well, we have to do this. I'm like, yes, we will. And the plan says we're going to do that in 3 weeks' time. So just, like trust that it'll come to you. And we just do them week by week by week. And sometimes it may not make sense. Like I'm very proactive, which I think is another good thing for mindset. Because especially if you just know that you can focus on these things, you can put your mind at ease and just be like, okay, I know exactly what I need to work on. And I'm just not going to worry about anything else. Um, yeah, and then sometimes it's like, "Well, why am I doing this now?" But, like, there's always, like, method to my madness, but sometimes I think it's kinda good because it's like, as you get closer to a launch, things can kind of pile up. Or if you didn't do one thing, being like, oh, I'll just do that later. All of a sudden, instead of having 15 tasks this week, now you got 20, 25 tasks, right? It can build up and it can get stressful. And you start looking at the numbers and, you want to get people in and the marketing gets kind of heavy toward the part where you're launching. So I like to do a lot of sort of proactive work and kind of get all the emails written and set up and ready, even though they may not get sent for like a month or two. Like just do it now so you don't even have to think about it. It's done, it's ready to go and you can just focus on really marketing and promoting your event or your program or whatever it is. So yeah, so I think breaking things down into small pieces and then working on them bit by bit by bit.
Right. No, that's great. And I love the fact that you do what you can do in advance and have it ready because you never know what's going to happen. I'm part of this challenge. It's a 6-week challenge. And I've been doing everything, week by week. So when I got to the last week, I was like, oh, I'm done. I only have like one thing left. But one of the other people in the challenge was busy and kind of figured, all right, I'm going to catch up the last week. And then she got the flu and she
Ugh,
like couldn't do anything. And it's like, well, and it's like now she can't do it. And it's like, well, she's like, yeah, I wish I would have done it like week by week instead of just waiting. And so having that break it into pieces and do a little bit of a time makes it all seem much more manageable. And if something does go wrong where you're out a week, you can catch up. Whereas if you're trying
mhm,
to catch up 3 months worth in a week or two, that
right.
you're not going to do that. So
Yeah, oh, that's like absolute chaos. Yeah, be kind to yourself. Yeah, and oh, you were saying something that kind of reminded me of yes, because things go wrong or things take longer than you think it's going to take. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm just going to set up my sales page, and then all of a sudden the tech isn't working, or there's a glitch in their system, so they're figuring out their tech, or life throws you a curveball, or all of a sudden you have an important client meeting, or you get a client you weren't expecting, and you're like, oh no, I gotta, so like things can just happen that can take away your time, or they can take so much longer. So I always like to have a little bit of like wiggle room in the plan as well, and kind of like space it out, because if you end up if everything goes well and you get to sort of the end and you only have a few things to do, it's amazing. It's a great feeling. And you almost feel a little bit like, are you sure this is okay? Like, is everything actually like, yeah. And like, that's the feeling you want to have, because then you just really want to focus on, okay, like I'm having this event and I want to, have the best experience for the people. So you can really think about your event. You can like practice it, and, you actually have the time to do that, as opposed to scrambling, doing 100 other things, and not actually taking the time to do what you want to do, right? Because you want to give an experience, you want to have an amazing program. So you want to make sure that you have time to, and the mental
Right.
bandwidth, because, I don't know if anybody, if you show up as sort of this burnt out, fragile coach to your
Yeah.
event,
People
you
are
make
gonna
people
feel
immediately be
that.
like, oh, do I want to hire that person? But if
Right.
you're
You're
like,
gonna help me with my business and you're frazzled, or you're going to. So let me
yeah.
ask you, how far, if someone is planning a launch, how far in advance would they hire you, or how far advance, does it depend on the type of event, or what's a good window?
Yeah, it depends on the type of event. So if it's sort of not high ticket program that you're selling, so say under 2 grand, and you're doing like maybe like a workshop, it's like an hour or two, or a webinar, or maybe you're doing like a challenge or something like that, like a 3-day challenge or 5-day challenge, something like that. So if it's like low ticket, or not high ticket, I guess you could say, I'd like to have 3 months, because then again, that kind of makes it a really smooth, easy transition, and or makes it an easy flow of the plan. And the first thing I always get them to start with is engaging with their JV partners, and thinking about and putting together like a lead strategy, so you can bring more people into your world and nurture them. So by the time like you're ready to invite them, they're kind of ready to go. So those are the two things I get them to start working on 3 months out. So especially if you want people to help promote it, you want to ask them and get on their calendar a couple of months out, and really, and if sometimes with partners, if you haven't spoken to them in a while, you might want to rekindle that relationship, and it can take time to book a meeting with somebody, then you have the chat, and then you ask them to promote you, that can take a month in itself. So you want to start that three months out at least. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, no, that was something when I started working with JV partners. I did not realize how some people are they have their JV schedule like planned for the year almost. And it's like, oh yeah, I have an event in 2 months. Can you promote me? It's like, oh no, we're full. I was like, what? And
Yeah.
then I get other people. I had someone the other day send me an event like, oh, we have an event Wednesday. Can you promote it? And I'm like, it's Monday. Like, I would have loved to promote it, but you have to give me a little time. So having that
Yeah.
plan and connecting with people is a great idea. Because yeah,
Yeah.
people say, oh yeah, JVs don't work when they contacted them, 4 days in advance. It's like, well, no.
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah, you need to give, and then, some people do these like newsletters that kind of do like events coming up, and they do them weekly, so you can kind of get in on that, but you're not going to get your like solo emails that you might ask for your JVs. And yeah, the other thing I get them to focus on that early is their lead strategy. So when you think about, okay, how many, people do I have in my email list, or how many people do I want to have at this event? So therefore, like, where are these leads coming from? Like, do I want to grow my social media following? Do I want to grow my email list? And how am I going to do that? Is it through my lead magnet? Is it through JV partners? Is it through like speaking, like, and getting people to sign up to your lead magnet? Is it, through gift giveaways and things like that, or networking? And so I get them to kind of think of those different categories and start to schedule that in. So if speaking is your big thing, and that's where you're going to kind of be talking about your event, and you might want to invite people or get them, on to give them your lead magnet to get them on your list, you want to start booking those speaking opportunities again about 3 months out, right? Because sometimes it can be hard. Like a summit can be, you got to like do it before your event, right? So you at least want to have that summit a couple weeks before. So yeah, so you got to start looking into that, and yeah, so that you can again, as part of the plan to get those slotted in so you can promote it. And some people are like, well, I don't need to promote it until 10 days out. It's like, right, but if you want to do the speaking, like, you got to book that 3 months ago.
Right. Even, that you mentioned the 10 days out, and I came from corporate too. You came from corporate, and
Yeah.
That's something that always bothered me in that I get all these like notifications like 10 days or a week out for something that I would like to attend, yet my schedule is booked like, months in advance sometimes. And it's like, I don't understand that. I understand that you have to remind people and people, but if you know you're having an event, it seems to me like, well, maybe you want to put a save the date or something a little bit earlier. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough one because I agree with you. Sometimes I get this thing and I'm like, I'd love to go to that, but I can't. I think if it's a full day event or a multi-day event, if you're doing like a 3-day event, like that, you want to invite people early. Or if it's like a summit as well, like people need to take that time. They need to clear their calendar, and that can take some time to do. If it's like a 1-hour webinar, I think, that's, doesn't take as much time and maybe you can move things around. I do love the idea of save the date. There are some statistics though that if people sign up too early, they don't necessarily put it in their calendar, they forget and then they kind of don't show up, right? So like there's this opt-in to your event to show up rate is about like 20 to 30%. So there's like 70% of people that actually opt in don't show up. And one of the reasons for that is that maybe people signed up too early and forgot about it. But being people like us who are quite organized, we would put it in our calendars and then it would be
Right.
there, right? But not everybody's quite that way. And it's interesting. Sometimes you can get this surge of signups like 1 to 2 days before, which I always found very interesting as well. And so they might get a few emails, or sometimes, if you send somebody an email, you might send them 3 or 4 emails inviting them, and then they might think about it, right? And it may not be to the very last one, which is like the day before that eventually they'll sign up. So yeah, there's lots of different sort of statistics around it, but I think that you're right. I think you can cater to everybody, right? So you could do save the day early on. You could, invite them early and then just continue to invite them all the way up
Yeah.
until the day before, and then you're going to kind of reach everybody and how they work.
Yeah. It sounds like communication's really important and using multi-channels because yeah, I'm always amazed at people who, I send 5 emails and I call them and I text them on social media and then like, oh, I asked them like, oh, you signed up, how come you didn't show up? Oh, I didn't know about wherever. It's like, okay, at some point.
What? That's not possible.
but
Yeah.
but it's yeah, it always makes me laugh like when I put out a workshop and I always send like 1 hour or today's the date, the reminder, and almost every time I get like one or two people that sign up like right after it's over. It's like
Yes. I have that too. And you're like, oh, it's too late. They're like, when is it? I'm like, it's past. I'm sorry. Yeah.
like hours ago or yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, yeah. So I think you got to cater to a bunch of different people. And then even when we're talking about promotion, there is email marketing and there is social media, but there's so many other ways you kind of want to promote as well. Because I think that those two, like if you're just posting and emailing, they're kind of passive. And so you want to try to be a little bit more aggressive is not the right word, but at all, do not be aggressive. But just, actually reaching out to people, like you're saying, sending them a direct message. If you do have their phone number, give them a call to invite them, especially if they were like maybe past clients or you've met somebody that you think would really love your event or would be perfect for your program. Don't just send them an email, like actually find a different way to contact them directly, to invite them directly. And I think that personal touch is really nice. And then they will be more likely, I think, to attend. And so, yeah, because sometimes just the emails and the posts aren't enough. I've seen that with some of my clients where they thought that would be enough, and then they didn't get the show up that they wanted, and they didn't get the signups that they wanted. And I was like, yeah, I think we need to do more things. So I always give people a list of about like 20 different ways that you can promote. I'm like, okay, let's pick and choose
Mhm.
the ones that work for you, and some of these you're going to have to do, and then some of them, I can set up for you.
Oh, that's great having 20 different ways. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
would not even think there were that many ways, but you never know what. And it does make a difference because I know I felt like I've been stalking someone, and then
Right.
they're like, "Oh, you're like, oh, I've called you. You've done all this thing," and they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know you were. Oh, I never heard about it." So
Yeah. You're
there's
like, really?
definitely it's top when you're doing something, a launch. It's definitely top of your mind, but people, it's amazing the number of people that, could ignore 10 emails and not even see them or don't read them. I mean, that's why I know people that have, 10,000 unread emails and it's like, okay, there's so many different ways.
Yeah.
Um, so what other tips, I guess, what are some of the other things people should consider when they're doing a launch?
Um, let's think. I was just thinking like in terms of like mindset. I think that like we were talking about, it can get really stressful. Like there's a lot of work to do. And it's like, as I said before, it's a lot of work on top of your normal work, right? So like we have our businesses we're running, we're like, always trying to like find our clients, we're doing our emails, we're doing our social posts, we're doing all of our normal things that we do for a business, especially if you're a solopreneur and you're wearing all the hats. And then all of a sudden you have this launch on top of it. And so I think that it is really important to take the time to take care of yourself, like do your self-care, do your mindfulness practices when you get, yeah, getting close to it and it starts to get a bit, scary and time crunch and you got a lot to do, or even if, maybe it's the first time that you're making this presentation or you're making this pitch or this sale or it's your first full day event, that can be kind of nerve-wracking too. And you might be nervous about it. So, make sure to really take care of yourself and don't let those mindfulness practices, don't let your exercise or your health go to the wayside during this super stressful time, because you're going to need that to keep you going.
Yeah, it seems like for first timers especially, that's a really big issue. But do you have, when people work with you, I'm sure a lot of your clients are doing their first time event or have done events that didn't work very well.
Hmm.
Do they typically, once they have a successful event, do they, okay, I'm going to do it again and again this way? So is that what you find?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And when I work with people, I like to set up systems for them and like processes and templates and things so that next time they can just rinse and repeat it. So even if we have, say, reminder emails, you can use pretty much the same email, so I can set up a template and all you got to do is change the Zoom link and the date and the time, so you have that there. So I like to
Mm.
set up these rinse and repeat solutions so that the next time it's more efficient, it's more streamlined. You don't need to do as much work, because the first time for sure is a very heavy lift, especially when you're writing all of those emails like that. There's so many emails. Like you think of like the promotion emails, right? And you think of all your promotion social posts, and then you have your reminder emails, and then you have your partner's emails, like swipe copy for them, but then you also want to email them to remind them to promote for you, right? So there's a lot going on, and yeah, so you want to have systems and processes put in place so you can redo it. Yeah, and then yeah, because that's it in there, I find that you don't need um like as much help. Like even if you have landing pages and things like that, you could just replicate it, change the dates. So yeah, so there's not as much work needed, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I know I hired you for some, one of my lead magnet launches, and I've been able to replicate that for another one. Although there's still at one time something went wrong and so I didn't click one thing and I realized I was sending them the same, one little thing, and I was sending them the same one over and over again. So
Oh no.
it's always good to have someone. Although trying to do it yourself, you'll get to learn things, but you may learn things that you don't really necessarily need to learn or want to learn. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing as well. Like figure out kind of like what help you want to have. Like what are the things you don't like doing? And then give that to somebody else, because that can be even more stressful. Like if you hate the tech and then you have to go and create this landing page and it's going to frustrate you and you're going to want to like throw your computer out the window and it's going to take you all day long. Like what a waste of time and energy, and it's just going to drain you, where you could maybe just hire someone to set it up for you and they might do it in a couple of hours, and just kind of get that off your plate. Yeah, I find that can, but and for everybody it's different, right? So, but if you're one of those people that loves doing it all, then like I said earlier, give yourself enough time to do it all. Be kind to yourself. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's funny how we all have different skills. And like for, in my Done For You retreat programs, I love to do the planning, the logistics, the menu planning, the finding the venues, the booking, all that. And other people are kind of like, I don't want to do that. So it works well to find someone who's good at what you're not at and use their services. So
Yeah.
it's I'm sure people watching are going to want to get your help with a launch. So, how do they reach out to you? And do you have any programs or anything coming up that you wanted to share?
No, I don't have any programs or anything coming up. But yeah, I have actually just launched my new website. Woo, finally.
Ooh,
Um,
yay.
it's called launchpartnerpro.com. So you can go there and you can see the different types of services I offer. So yeah, I offer launch services, and you can book a call with me on that website and we can talk about your launch, talk a little bit about strategy. I always love to give some tips as well for your launch in that call. And then we can see if it's and if it's a right fit. Yeah, and then I also, yeah, there's some different services on there as well, but the launch one, yeah, you can definitely book a call with me on my website.
So launchpartnerpro.com.
Yes.
Great. And you work with any type of coach? Do you have a coach that you prefer or anyone who's
Yeah, any type of coach. Yeah, I love to work with coaches mainly. I have worked actually with some other entrepreneurs, but yeah, coaches are my favorite. But yeah, I've worked with all types of coaches. I've worked with like mindset coaches. I've worked with like exiting kind of business coaches. I've worked with money mindset coaches, health coaches. Yeah, healers. Yeah, all kinds.
yeah, no, this has been great. I've loved all the information you share. And I think if you're thinking of launching a program, you should definitely work with Elisa. I mean, it's just you don't want to do it yourself. Trust me. I've tried. You don't want to do it yourself. So let me if we have one tip left, just one thing that you wanted to share with the audience, what would it be?
um, Oh, I usually like to share the whole. I guess I kind of feel like I've already said it about like, set up your systems, give yourself enough time, be kind to yourself with your launch. And I really like to sit down and think it through the whole process and systematize it. So I would say, start with that. If you want to do a launch, sit down and think about that. I'm like, okay, what is everything that's going to need to happen? Excuse me. And really give yourself the time to think that through. I remember I did that when I was launching my podcast. It was like, okay, I know how to launch the podcast. I did a course on it, but then I just sit there and I was like, okay, what do I need to set up? Right? Like, okay, if someone's gonna be my guest, like, what do they need? What do I need? Like, how am I going to get that information? What reminder? And I just had to kind of sit down and be like, okay, what are all the steps for that? And so I think just kind of giving yourself that time to figure it out will really benefit you as you're going through the process.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So I've seen people, yeah, as opposed to like, okay, I'm going to do a summit, and you put the summit on the calendar, and it's like, okay, I'm going to do something, and it's like, all right, where are you finding your speakers? How are you, all of that stuff you don't think about. You just kind of think of the big picture, but there's so much that gets you from here to there. Well,
Right.
this has been great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank
Launch
you.
Partner Pro, if you're launching any kind of an online program from this, a workshop, I mean, if you're going to have a workshop, you might as well have people attend. And if you're doing something bigger like a summit or, something where it's a 3-day event, definitely get help, reach out, Launch Partner Pro and schedule a call. Thank you everyone for joining this
Thank
episode
you.
of Monday Mindset Mastery. Next week, I am not sure if we're going to be on or not. I'm going to Fiji. I leave tomorrow for LA and then for Fiji. So I don't know. I'm going to try to get on if I have the bandwidth. I just don't know if I will, but it might be 3 in the morning for me, the show, but it'll probably just be me talking, sharing some of the experiences. And then we'll be back home on, I think it's the 15th with another guest. So thank you and have a fantastic day.
Thank you.